Last night, my husband Larry sent a note to a group of close family friends, some of whom live in Israel, saying, "It's very frustrating to sit here feeling so powerless, worrying about our friends and families. Please, all of you in Israel, take good care of yourselves." He continued, saying, "I just sent a note to my cousins, checking in on them in Hod HaSharon. I haven't heard back, but they are elderly and anxious by nature. Earlier, I spoke with one of my friends in Tehran. He was gathered with his whole family in his apartment, 4 generations of them, trying to calm his grandchildren as the booms grew louder. So bitter and ironic to know how much both of them despise their respective leaders." And then this morning, my friend texted me to say that her daughter was in Tel Aviv, sitting in a cafe because there was nothing for her to do but wait for missiles. So here's what I want to focus on tonight. The lines, "very frustrating to sit here feeling so powerless," and "nothing to do but wait for missiles." I think we, in particular as Americans, and maybe also as Jews, and maybe even as humans, we are not comfortable being powerless. We are not comfortable being helpless. We are supposed to be able to master everything. And indeed, there is a huge self-help industry that pretends we can power through anything. If we only had the right formula, we'd be rich, popular, healthy. We'd be great parents. We'd overcome shyness, depression. The list is infinite. It seems that there's a way to overcome every challenge under the sun. But then there isn't. Maybe mastery is not the answer, particularly in these times. Or maybe America is peddling the wrong idea of power. Helplessness, for sure, is one part of the human condition. But understanding our helplessness when we confront larger forces that we cannot immediately overcome can help us determine what it will mean to act effectively. Already, what Larry did, I know what I did, what so many of you already have done, reaching out to people in Israel, is already not helpless. It's already showing other people that they are not alone. That is something in the face of the larger forces we cannot control. The Torah teaches us that these two things are intimately connected. The ability to act comes from being connected to others, with not being alone. Let's consider Moshe's crisis in this parsha. Moshe cannot take another moment of his own helplessness as a leader. The people again are complaining bitterly in the ears of God. Vayehi ha'am kimit onanim ra be'oznei Hashem. Yeah, okay, they complained their way through the wilderness, but each time it's a different and unique complaint. This time it's about meat. They are desperate for meat and sick of manna. As Chazan Basia shared earlier in her Kavanah, the children of Israel sat and cried and said, "Who will feed us meat? Mi yachalinu basar. We remember the fish, we remember the cucumbers, the watermelons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic. Oh, being a slave was so good. Hearing this, Moshe comes to a breaking point. He can't take it anymore. In a dark moment of despair, he complains to God. God, you've made it so terribly bad for me, placing the burden of an entire people on me. He challenges God, saying, "Ha'anochi hariti et kol ha'am hazeh? Did I give birth to this people? Im anochi yilditehu? Ki tomar elai," that you should say to me, "Se'ehu b'chekecha," that I should carry them around in my bosom. Kasher yisa ha'omen et hayonek, as a wet nurse carries an infant or a nursling. In other words, God is saying, did I bear these people? Did I give birth to them? No, God, you did. This is your child. It's not my child. This burden should not be on me. I'm not the one who split the sea and led them through to the wilderness and fed them manna and gave them water so that they could survive. God, this is your job. This is your baby, literally. He goes on to say, where am I going to get meat to feed this entire people? And then the kicker, lo uchal anochi levadi. I can't do this alone. Laset et kol ha'am hazeh, to bear this entire people. Ki kaved mimeni. It's simply too heavy for me. I can't do it. This is the heartbreak. Moshe feels alone and has felt alone from the beginning. He is so desperate here that he wants to die, saying, if you do this to me, please kill me, just kill me. If I have found favor in your eyes, so that I do not have to see my own badness. Im kacha atoseli hargenina. Harog imatzati chem be'einecha ve'al er'eh bira'ati. Moshe literally cannot take it anymore. He wants to die. He's so under-resourced. He feels so inadequate to the task before him that he simply wants to die. I know that in my life, I've had moments like this, where I'm so inadequate to the task that life is requiring me to somehow perform that I just want to die. When one of my children almost died of an illness, I too wanted to die. And even when I lost a beloved job because I was laid off, along with 50 other people in 2009, I kind of felt like dying then too. And even when I'm faced with the inability to protect my children from pain, it's like it feels so bad that I just want it to end. And I imagine that some of you have felt that way as well. That there was something beyond your own ability to face. But let's remember that Moshe felt under-resourced from the beginning. Remember Moshe at the bush. God, I'm not a man of words. I have no voice. I can't go face Pharaoh. And then back in Exodus 18, shortly after the Israelites left Egypt, and Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, saw that he was carrying the burden of the people alone even then, straight at the beginning. And Yitro, his father-in-law, says, Ma hadavar hazeh asher ata oseh la'am. What are you doing to this people? Madua ata yoshev levadecha. Why are you sitting here alone? It's just you. V'chol ha'am nitzav alecha, and all the people are standing waiting for you. Min boker ad arav, from the morning until the night. So clearly, Moshe's issue is being alone, is feeling alone. He takes on this sacred mission, but he continues to feel inadequate and alone throughout. We easily forget this. We remember Moshe as a great leader, but forget that Moshe is also just human, just a guy, a man estranged from the home where he grew up, a leader whose people will often despise him and direct their anger at him instead of God. We forget that God remembers that Moshe feels so alone because he responds to him by taking his aloneness away. He says to him, "Gather 70 elders of Israel and share your spirit with them, that they will carry along with you the burden of the people, so you will not have to carry it, you alone." What a beautiful listening. This is very unlike the God I know in the Torah, right? God actually hears the pain of God's leader and responds so directly to Moshe's pain. This is the divine message. You won't have to carry this alone. You will have others to carry it with you. This mission, this prophecy, this burden will be shared. We are, after all, on some level, powerless, helpless when we feel alone. But when we ask for help, when we have the courage to partner with others, we have more of a chance to affect our overwhelming challenges. And here I'd like to quote my dear friend, Rabbi Sharon Cohn-Annisfeld, about what we can and can't affect. She describes tikkun olam, which is typically translated as fixing or repairing the world, as braiding the world instead of fixing it. And she says, in the last several months, we have seen how easily we can be buffeted by the latest news, unsteadied by rising violence in both rhetoric and all too real actions around us, overwhelmed by the onslaught of orders coming down from the highest halls of power. We may be limited in our ability to control what will be coming down on us, but we have enormous agency about what we are building up, how we are caring for ourselves and each other, what kind of capacities we are cultivating, what kind of workplaces and communities we are creating. So here we are. Iran attacked Israel today, and I am, to tell you the truth, terrified and in grief for what's happening. Terrified for my family and friends who are there, maybe feeling alone. But I think we come here to this place so as not to be alone, to be connected. And I think we pray so as not to be alone, to reach out beyond ourselves. Last week, I went to a hostage demonstration in the park last Sunday, and I felt it was especially important to go in the wake of what happened in Boulder. And one of our chants was, when we heard especially hostage family members speak, you are not alone. You are not alone. Now, to tell you the truth, if it was my child or parent, I don't know if that would comfort me, but I know there's a huge network of activists and supporters that are operating so that the family members of the remaining hostages feel, hopefully, less alone. We need one another, especially now. We need community. We need not to be isolated at this terrible and terrifying moment. May we be blessed on the eve of a massive public protest, the No Kings March tomorrow, remembering that no one individual is powerful or godly on their own, right? It's collective force and interconnection that gives us power and effectiveness. May we be blessed with the capacity, the strength, the courage to reach out to one another in our moments of aloneness, to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters who are vulnerable, whether they be here or in Israel or elsewhere, to join with others, to realize our painful limitations. We simply cannot do it alone. We are not meant to do it alone. The message comes from the Torah. It's loud and clear. Right from the beginning in Genesis, the divine message is Lo tov liot adam levado. It is not good for a human being to be alone, especially now, most especially right now.